Okay, today I'm going to show you how to construct a cross-section using a topographic map. This is a skill that often comes up in assessments and exams, and it's one of those skills that if you know what you're doing, it's pretty straightforward, but if you're not really sure what you're doing, it can be a skill that can cause a lot of problems. So I'm going to show you today on a very simplified topographic map how to construct a cross-section. Basically, it's the same theory regardless of the map you have. So let's get started. So what is a cross-section? I've just taken this from a PowerPoint. A cross-section looks at the land if it was sliced in half. It gives you a side profile of a landscape that you would have on a topographic map. So a topographic map has contour lines, and the contour lines show height, and we use those height lines to show us that side profile, and you can see that down here. These different markers here are the height, and then we end up being able to draw in our side profile. Well, let's get started. This is just a very simple topographic map from point A through to point B. There's a straight line, and the values we can see here start at 400 down to 300, 200. We don't get to 100, we'll go to that in a moment, and then the whole way up to this feature of Dome Hill. So, say you were asked a question, construct a cross-section between point A and B, this is what we would do. The first thing that you're going to do is get a piece of scrap paper and draw in point A, point B, and line it up along the line. You then go through, and wherever a contour line intersects or touches your piece of scrap paper, you draw a dot or you draw a marker in. Now, the only thing you'll have to be careful is for things like this here, where you've got a river and a road. You will make a little marker, but I'll always do something like put a little R or RD for road on it, just so I know that it's not a contour line. I don't want to make a mistake later on and mark that that's a contour line. Once I've put in all the markers, and you can see my scrap paper down here, I then make sure that I know all my values of my contour lines. And then I transcribe those values down onto my piece of paper. You can see here I've put in the R for river and the RD for road, so I'll know that a little bit later on. I guess the other big important thing that you need to be aware of is point A and point B, their heights. We'll get to that in a moment, and knowing the contour interval is very important at this point. The other thing you've got to be aware of is that the low point. So where my piece of paper or the cross-section line hits this river, that's clearly going to be the lowest point in the cross-section. You can see I marked R for river, and the two heights either side of it are 200, 200. You can see here the 100 contour line actually doesn't go through my line. So what that tells me is that the cross-section is going to go from 200 to 200. It doesn't ever get below or on the 100 line. So the lowest point's got to be, above 100 metres. Once I've put in all the values along the bottom here, I then get a piece of grid paper. I line the values up along the bottom and just put in A and B first. And then I transcribe all of the values again along the bottom, trying to be as accurate as possible. I also include my other features as well. I then put in a vertical scale. We'll talk about another skill that comes a bit later, known as vertical exaggeration, in another video. But what you'll need to choose is a vertical scale that's appropriate for your map. I could have gone up in hundreds here. I probably could have even gone up in 25s. But in this map here, in this cross-section here, I've chosen to go up in an interval of 50 metres. I feel that's a scale that's going to work well for this cross section and be able to show me the side profile of the landscape. Once I've done that, I then just put in the dots or mark where the points along the bottom intersect with the vertical height. I also make a little mark at the river, and remembering that we said that it couldn't go below 100 metres, you'll notice that it's actually, I've put it in there at about, I guess I've put it in at about 125. That's always an estimation that you'll make. So you can see here, I'll just say it again, there was the river, and yeah, we did say it couldn't go below 100, and it hasn't. It's about 125, 130. We just estimate, as I said. Once we've done that, we just hand draw in that side profile. Definitely not a ruler. We're trying to make it look as natural as possible, and if we're looking in a natural landscape, we don't tend to see those a straight edge for a landscape. So just a nice hand drawn, connect the dots on your markers, and you've basically at the point where you've almost finished your cross section. One of the last things that you'll do, and it's something that I do, is just to put in any features that might appear. So Dome Hill, the road and the river. I'll also finish my line down at point B, just to enclose the cross section. So that's how to construct a cross section. Some of the other skills that you may have to use or use with a cross section is gradient and vertical exaggeration. I'll go through both of those in another video. Hopefully this has been helpful. It's taught you how to construct your cross section. Basically, although the map I used today was a very simplified map, the process is exactly the same using a more complicated map.